Episode 13, Stoicism and Authority Figures. How Stoics dealt with bad leaders, corrupt systems, and unjust command. The question every era faces. Every generation asks the same question in different words. What do you do when the people in charge are wrong, not mistaken, not inexperienced, but unjust, when authority is careless, when leadership is corrupt, when command demands obedience but has lost legitimacy? This is not a modern problem. The Stoics lived under emperors, governors, generals, and bureaucracies that could elevate you or erase you without explanation. They understood power, and more importantly, they understood misused power. Stoicism did not teach blind obedience. It did not teach rebellion for its own sake. It taught something far more difficult: how to remain morally sovereign inside unjust systems. This episode is about that discipline. Before we go further, a brief invitation. If you value long-form conversations about discipline, judgment, and inner command, subscribe to this channel. These episodes are not reactions to headlines. They are frameworks for living under pressure. If you've ever struggled with how to deal with bad leadership without losing yourself, hit the like button. It helps this message reach men navigating the same tension. And if you know someone working under authority they don't respect, share this episode. Now stay with me, because Stoicism does not ask, how do I overthrow authority? It asks, how do I remain upright when authority fails? What Stoicism never taught about authority. Stoicism never taught submission without thought. It never said, authority is always right. Power deserves obedience. Command excuses injustice. That misconception comes from confusing Stoicism with passivity. Stoicism was not passive. It was selectively obedient. The Stoic distinction, authority versus legitimacy. The Stoics made a crucial distinction. Authority is a position to command. Legitimacy is the moral right to command. You can hold authority without legitimacy, and you can act with legitimacy without authority. This distinction guided everything. Stoics respected structure, but not blindly. Why Stoics did not worship systems? Systems are human creations, and anything created by humans is subject to error, corruption, drift. Stoics never confused systems with virtue. They asked, does this system still serve justice and order? When the answer was no, obedience became conditional. The Stoic response to bad leaders. Stoics did not react emotionally to bad leaders. They did not obsess over personality. They did not waste energy on outrage. They focused on what remained within their control, their own conduct. When leadership failed, Stoics intensified personal discipline, because chaos above demands order below. Wise Stoics did not define themselves by resistance. Some men define themselves by opposition. They need an enemy to feel righteous. Stoicism rejected this trap. A Stoic did not ask, how do I oppose authority? He asked, how do I act correctly regardless of authority? Resistance was not identity. Character was. The Stoic limit of obedience. Stoic obedience ended where moral compromise began, when command demanded dishonesty, cruelty, injustice, betrayal of principle. The Stoic refused, not emotionally, not theatrically, but firmly. This refusal was not rebellion. It was alignment with conscience. Why Stoics valued inner freedom over outer safety. Stoics understood something uncomfortable. You can survive under unjust authority, but you cannot survive the loss of self-respect. So they prioritized inner freedom. They accepted consequences, but not corruption. This was not martyrdom. It was self-command. How Stoics spoke to authority. When Stoics spoke to power, they did so carefully, not submissively, not arrogantly, with precision. They avoided insults. They avoided flattery. They avoided emotional appeal. They spoke from reason. This often made authority uncomfortable, which was the point. Why Stoics did not expect fairness. Stoicism never promised fair leadership. Expecting fairness from flawed systems only multiplies frustration. Instead, Stoics prepared for injustice. Not cynically, but realistically. Preparation preserved clarity. Working under corrupt systems. Stoics often worked inside flawed systems. They did not all withdraw, but they followed strict rules. Do not become what you oppose. Do not internalize corruption. Do not justify wrongdoing for convenience. Do not sacrifice principle for advancement. Participation was allowed. Complicity was not when withdrawal became necessary. Stoics were willing to leave positions of power, not impulsively, but when staying required moral erosion. Withdrawal was not weakness. It was boundary enforcement. Wise Stoics did not seek revolution. Stoicism was not revolutionary ideology. It was stabilizing philosophy. They believed toppling authority without internal order simply replaces one disorder with another. Stoics focus on building men who could not be corrupted, because those men stabilize systems naturally. The Stoic view of injustice. Injustice was expected, but it was never internalized. Stoics refused to let injustice shape their identity. They responded with clarity, restraint, strategic action, moral consistency, not bitterness. Why bitterness is the tool of bad authority. Bad authority thrives on resentment. Resentment clouds judgment. Resentment makes men predictable. Resentment distracts from discipline. Stoics refuse to hand over that leverage. Modern authority and Stoic clarity. Today, authority appears everywhere. Corporations, governments, institutions, cultural systems. Stoicism remains relevant because the question remains the same. How do you remain upright when authority bends? The answer has not changed. The Stoic questions to ask yourself. When facing authority, Stoicism asks you to pause and ask, does this demand violate my principles? Is compliance required or merely expected? What response preserves my integrity? What action restores order rather than chaos? These questions protect you from emotional reaction. Why Stoics chose long-term consequences? Stoics thought in long horizons. They preferred long-term integrity over short-term comfort, enduring character over temporary safety, internal peace over external approval. That patience made them resilient. The man who practices Stoic authority discipline. That man does not idolize leaders, does not demonize them, does not outsource judgment, does not surrender conscience. He cooperates where possible. He refuses where necessary. He remains himself. Before we close, ask yourself honestly, where have I obeyed out of fear rather than judgment? Where have I resisted emotionally instead of rationally? Where would clarity restore my dignity? You don't need to fix everything today. Just one, and act deliberately. Stoicism does not teach submission to power. It teaches sovereignty under power. Bad leaders may control circumstances. They do not control your character unless you surrender it. That is the Stoic line. If this episode clarified how to live under authority without losing yourself, subscribe to this channel. These conversations are designed to strengthen judgment, not inflame reaction. If moral sovereignty still matters to you in a world of failing leadership, and if you know someone navigating unjust command, share this episode. Not as protest, as perspective. Authority may command your actions, but only you decide whether it commands who you become. Stand upright, even when power leans crooked.